All right, what's going on, Ribbity Bosses? Jordan and Katie here. She's in the background handling the back end side of the interview. But today we're super excited to share with you a amazing interview with I don't always like to pick favorites in the RBB community, but if there was to be one or a handful, Kelly is definitely at the top of the list. Today we're going to be chatting with Kelly Shurick, who's based out of Canada. And you are a hairstylist and an esthetician, but you've also focused more on self-healing and some exciting things you're going to share about today around kind of where your area of expertise truly is. But today we're going to be covering some amazing things about Kelly's journey, her transformation, and hopefully provide a ton of value to you guys as well here in the RBB community. But without further ado, Miss Kelly, how are you doing? For
I'm
those who
doing
don't
great.
know, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and where you're tuning in from?
I am from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I'm a hairstylist first and foremost. But probably 5 years ago, I got more into the healing side of things.
That's
So
awesome. I love to hear it. And so you're based out of Canada, and are you born and raised in Canada?
I was actually born and raised in a small town outside of Edmonton, and I came to a private hair school here in Edmonton, and so I moved to Edmonton, and now I've been here ever since.
Love it. And how long have you been in the industry specifically? When did this all kind of first get started for you?
I started in high school, and that would make it probably about 35 years in the industry. But I
35
started,
years.
I hate saying that, 20 plus years, I should say. But I took cosmetology in high school and
Mhm.
liked it. So I ended up coming to the city and taking it in a private school. And then I just worked at a really big salon for many years, and it was a salon and spa. So I got to see the benefits of both.
I love it. So 35 years in the industry, born and raised there in the Canada area. Um, Tell me about, so you got started really young, so out of high school. Like what kind of inspired you and motivated you to kind of first get into the beauty industry, the self-care industry? What kind of ignited you down that path?
And I actually just happened into it. I was thinking I wanted to be a nurse forever. Obviously, I want to care for people. I find it very fulfilling to help
Hmm.
people. And I was being a little candy striper in a hospital, in a small town hospital, and loved it until we had a little baby pass away. And I'm like, nope, can't do this. Let's try to find a more positive way to give back. And I was taking cosmetology and I liked it fine, but I knew there was more to it than just what I had in high school. And so I
Hmm.
went to this private hair school in Edmonton, and having so many different opinions of how you can get somewhere. You're all going to the same place, but there's so many different ways to get there. And I loved that it was constantly changing. You had to stay up with the times or you were lost. So I
Hmm.
really liked that challenge.
That's awesome. And so when you got started out of high school, when did you start out working for someone else, or did you like when did you walk me through like how you kind of got your education, you started working, you just nodded your head when you said yes, started working with someone else. Lead me up to like how you first decided to go out on your own and start your own business.
Well, I started in a salon that grew very quickly, and it ended up being a great big salon. And in those days, it was a big thing to have a day spa. So we were probably one of the first or second ones in the area to even have a day spa. And I worked with about 40 other stylists and probably 20 other spa people, estheticians, massage therapists, nail techs, everything.
Hmm.
And loved it. Worked there for probably 20 years. which was
That's awesome.
unheard of in the hair industry. We usually move
Yeah.
around a lot, but I was happy where I was at, and I really liked the people I worked with. But then, I don't know, things kind of changed for me. Ended up being a single mom, and I just felt like I couldn't be at home with the kids as much as I would like. So I thought
Mhm.
going out on my own would give me the opportunity to be more flexible. So I opened my own salon and it was wonderful, but I had absolutely no flexibility because I was working constantly. I had the
Mhm.
flexibility that if the kids were sick, they could come be in my office, right? But not to actually
Right.
care for them. So I did that for probably another 5 years. And once the kids were into school, um, they were just super busy, and I just didn't have the time to be the mom I wanted to be. So I
Mhm.
decided to sell out to my partner and I moved home. I built an add-on to the house so people didn't have to actually come into my house. And I built a little tiny two-person salon in my house. And it was
That's awesome.
probably my best decision ever because I was
I
able
love
to
it.
be an at-home mom.
That's amazing. So you've been in the industry for 35 years. You spent about 20 to 25 years working in a salon with other service providers. Sounds like it's a pretty big organization that you're kind of working under. But some life transitions happened and you realized that, you wanted to find a way to go out on your own. Um, what what was there a particular moment where you decided like I'm gonna do this? Like I have to do this? Or like was it something that accumulated over time? Or like what really made you want to make that like big it's a big transition and a big decision, to go all in on yourself?
Yeah, it was really scary, but I feel like it was more a school function that I really wanted to get to be with the kids. And I couldn't be there because one of my staff members decided not to show up for work, and
Mm,
I committed to help in the school, and I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed to let everyone down. I'm like, this is going on far too often. I need to make this shift. It might not be the smartest one financially, but it's definitely going to be the smartest one for my relationship with my children.
yeah.
So that's what made me take the big leap. And I was scared. I had downtown clients going to high-end salons. And I'm like, can you come to my house? And
That's
it was
awesome.
scary.
And what year was this that you fully, I guess, opened shop in that extension by your house?
Oh, I wish I could remember, but at least about 10 years.
10 years. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
guessing about
10
10 years.
years since making that big jump, that big leap of faith to go all in on yourself. And that's such an interesting story that you started out um, like so you built out, walk me through the motions of how you built out this extension of your home. Like, how did that work? Or how does it work? It's still there, right?
I am. I'm still here. But Jordan, I've owned many houses and I tend to renovate them myself. So
Mhm.
there was this kind of weird little porch thingy, useless. I don't even know what it was. It was an entity that I didn't even know what I was going to do with when I moved into the house. But I'm like, space for the kids. It wasn't heated or anything. So I added a heat source, like a fireplace that heated the ransom. All you really need is heat and water. So the biggest thing was putting in a little bathroom for my clients, and I loved it. I absolutely love setting up little tiny salons. I wish I could do that for a living. Show people how to make a very professional salon because I know all of my clients thought they'd be creeping down to my basement, and but
Yeah.
everyone that walked in said, "Wow, this isn't what I was expecting."
That's
So
awesome. Maybe for those in the community who want to see it, how many guys would want to maybe see what a little tour of Kelly's space? Maybe you can share with that in the group or something. Let us know kind of how things look over there behind the scenes because I think it's pretty awesome. Like you made that decision 10 years ago due to some life transitions and now you're here, making six-figure income with the business and you're still it's exactly kind of the vision that you started out with these 10 years ago. And now it's set you up for an amazing opportunity for your long-term future as well. So that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited to share with everyone more about the journey. So for those that are here in the live, go ahead and type in hashtag live or hashtag replay if you're checking on the replay. Today, we're going to talk about how Kelly, we just talked about kind of her backstory and introduction into the industry, and a little background on her. Now we're going to kind of get into kind of her step-by-step roadmap, I guess, leading her to getting to what's your highest number to date that you've hit with the business?
I think it was just over 13,000.
$13,000 a month as a solo hairstylist slash not certified esthetician. Is that,
Right.
or
Well,
yes or no?
no, I'm not. When I took my cosmetology, you have to do facials and everything, but I don't do waxing or any of that. I just do the service. Like, I do energy healing and facials. And
Energy
a lot of
healing.
that just came from the people that I met in the spa industry working with them. I learned a lot of techniques and tricks to things before they even started, like energy treatments before they were even a big deal.
Love it. So your main core focuses are energy healing, facials, and hair, are kind of the big three in the business. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about a lot of how Kelly has built the business, how she started out, kind of what got her to making her first, like, I guess, livable income to get kick started. And then from there, how she's kind of ramped her way up to now doing $13,000 a month, which is well over $100,000 a year with the business. And also, we're going to talk about maybe a little about your journey now, looking to replace your income beyond the chair and get out from behind the chair as well. So I'm pumped for it. And you guys are here. Let us know who you are, what you do, and where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear what services you guys provide, and where you're located. So at the end of this, Kelly and I are going to be doing some Q&A, and answering some questions. In the group post leading up to this, we had some of you guys ask some questions that you may be looking for some help with. So we're going to be covering some of those, but we're also just going to be sharing some real insight, some real value, and some real kind of step-by-step roadmap sharing what Kelly's journey has looked like. So super pumped for it. So let's jump into it, Kelly. Let's talk about maybe getting. How long did it take you to really start building your first initial clientele for the business? Back 10 years ago, we just opened up and built out this extension in the home, for your location. How long did it take to kind of start building like a livable income and like a steady clientele from when you first started?
Well, I was very fortunate because I opened it in November. So the clients couldn't really go to anyone else to have an appointment for their December appointment, which back then was even bigger than it is now. Between Christmas and New Year's, we made 3 months of our income, right? New Year's isn't such a big deal anymore, but back then it was. And because I moved at that time, a lot of my clients said, well, Kelly, I'll come this time, but I really can't make that journey out to the West End. It's a long drive. I'm like, yeah, totally understandable as I'm having a panic attack. But I understood. I knew I was going to lose some people. And as soon as they walked in and realized that they loved how comfortable it was, they loved the ambiance. They also didn't have to look for parking. They didn't have to pay for parking. I have parking all in front. So all in all, it didn't actually take them more time. They may have went farther. So I was able to keep probably 90% of the clients that I'd built over the last 20 years. So I was fortunate with that. But I felt like I need to lower my prices. I'm working from my house. So
Mm.
that was my first mistake.
First
So
mistake, first lesson.
it was. And so made I made enough money. Like I was a single mom, I was able to take care of my kids. I made everything work, but it definitely wasn't anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't know how to do that because I worked in a big salon that people just came in. You
Right.
you picked out you handpicked the people who you kept.
Right. And the clientele is kind of provided for you at that location, I would assume, for the most part, right? I'm sure you built some of your own clientele, but
Well, you
most
have to
of
retain them. That's the biggest thing,
right.
right? So you really find people who you resonate with, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to do that because even to this day, I've had some clients who've been coming to me for 30 years.
Yeah. And that shows that you build amazing, long-lasting relationships, which I think is the number one rule in business, right? Like a lot of us think it's about the gimmicks, the marketing hacks, the tips, tricks, and secrets, or the perfect location or whatever. But it's all about the relationship, right? Being able to build those relationships and sustain them and make them long lasting and valuable to both parties, right? So that's awesome. So tell me this, like when you carried over that clientele from previous location to now your own location, where did that kind of put you at, if you don't mind sharing, like on an average monthly basis, as far as clients or cash flow for the business?
I was probably bringing in $4,000 a month.
About $4,000 a month.
Yeah. So I could make ends meet. I got write-offs being in my house, so it all
Mm-hmm.
worked out in the end. I was able to raise my kids. But once I got a little bit older, I realized, okay, I have this great clientele. What else can I do to get them coming to for me to do more things? So I went down that route of going, oh, well, I'll do this hair service and that, and
Mm,
nothing really stuck. Like I just,
right.
so that's um, when I tried to get into more doing the spa stuff because I had been working with low level light therapy and red light therapy for many years with my family. I had
Mm-hmm.
my mom and my sister both went through cancer at the same time.
Oh, wow.
My twins constantly got pneumonia. So the reason I got into the low level light therapy was because a girlfriend of mine said, okay, this is ridiculous. A kid this age shouldn't be sick. So she
Mm-hmm.
came over, we started lasering them. She showed me the protocols, and I can't believe the results. So that was the next thing that I entered into the equation. So I set up, I well, I have no dining room anymore. So now the spa has like creeped into my dining room. So I had the salon in that little setup I had, and then you walk up the stairs into what would have been my home, and now there's a spa in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started working on that, and I had to try to figure out how to get my clients doing it. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
I got into facials is because one of these lasers I did or used was amazing for skin results. Absolutely amazing. So I'm like, well, that's a little bit more marketable doing a facial. And I just included the um, energy treatments into it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were loving it, but I was having a hard time getting any kind of income from it. I was putting a lot of
Yeah.
money into it and not getting any income out.
I would love to hear in the comments, like how many guys have like struggled when it comes to growing your clientele. And so like you add like a bunch of different services, you invest a lot into a bunch of different equipment, and you try to add all these variables in to try to grow the business, but um, still maybe not getting the traction that you want. I assume that's kind of what was kind of going on during that time, is trying to find like what can I do to grow this business. You said you're doing about $4,000 to $5,000 a month or so, livable income, but you knew you were worthy and capable of achieving more, right? And so it sounds like you were kind of in this phase of trying to figure out, what do I do to grow? So how long were you kind of at that phase of like doing that, 4,000 or so range per month? Like how long were you at that state?
Up until I met you guys, Jordan.
And this so started 10 years, and we met, just for those that don't know, when did we first get connected?
Shortly after COVID, because that's when everything kind of hit the wall for me because we kept getting shut down. Here in Canada, it was way worse than you guys. We probably got shut down 3 times. So
Yeah, I remember it was a big deal.
how am I gonna provide for my kids? And once
Hmm.
again, survival mode, and I was so tired of being in survival mode. So
Yeah.
you guys actually found me and reached out, I think, on Facebook, and it was the best thing that ever happened.
Well, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. I think it's important to note that like while we've been a part of each other's journeys, I think like you've been the one who's shown up and been the disciplined and consistent and been able to really achieve this for yourself. So can't take even a fraction of the credit because like you take massive action. I see it on a daily basis, and I'm excited to kind of share the things that you've kind of figured out and done on your own as well to set yourself up for success. So that's awesome. How many guys have been stuck, maybe feeling like you're in survival mode lately? Type survival mode in the chat down below if that's something you feel like you've maybe struggled with or had feelings of at some point in your life. I know Katie and I have been there many times before. Kelly, you felt like you were there, for quite some time. I totally get where you're coming from there. I want you to know, as Kelly just said, hopefully should let you know this as well. Like you're not alone if you're feeling that right now. Like that's in today's day and age and economy, I would say most people 80% of people are in survival mode on a daily basis, even if they don't realize it, right? Um, and so I'm excited to kind of share. I see a ton of comments down, people kind of sharing who are in a similar spot. Ashley, Carla, Katie, love to hear it. I'm excited to share right now. How do we get out of survival mode? How do we start getting into thriving mode for Kelly? And what were those steps? So 2020, COVID happens. Boom, bomb dropped on life and business for everybody. We got connected during that time. Walk me through kind of where was your headspace at during that time before we connected? What did the process look like when we started chatting? And then kind of what was the ignition steps to kind of get moving out of that kind of situation?
Well, coming out of survival mode, which was a long process. After During COVID, I suppose, I kept second guessing the industry. And I'm like, maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to go into another direction. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to, I better do it now because I'm aging out of trying to get new things going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a little voice kept saying, but this makes you happy. Like I absolutely love being in this industry. The only thing I didn't like is the amount of money I could make from it or what I
Mm.
perceived that I could make. Because I was probably doing just as good as any of my other friends in the industry. And and I had the flexibility for my children. I had really good family work balance. But I knew that I couldn't sustain this because I would never be able to retire. I'd have to work until I die, and I don't want to do that. So I said something has to change, and that's when I started seeing your guys' butts and seats challenge all over Facebook, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. And I clicked on a few things, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure it's really expensive. I can't afford this. I can barely afford to feed my kids, let alone do this. And I think it was Alex that reached out on a call and said he said something about the price and everything, and he goes, but it's pretty much guaranteed. And I'm like, well, how much is it after? And he goes, does it really matter? You'll be making more. It won't even be a question. And I'm like, that's pretty. That's an amazing way of looking at it. I never look at things that way, but maybe I could start looking at it that way. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this 6 months. And I worked my butt off for those 6 months. And yes, it worked. I did everything you guys said in each module. I just went through it one at a time. It was scary. Pushing send on those messages on Facebook was so scary. But at the same time, I was so yearning to have connections with people. I felt so disconnected from everyone over COVID. So it was really good timing for me. And I would just push it, and some people would not get back to me. Some people would say this is so scammy, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry you feel like that. I just really want to connect to people after COVID. I felt isolated, and then they're like, oh,
Mhm.
sorry. So it was really good timing for me to have a reason, and it helped my heart a lot. Just reaching out to the community, getting to know people.
I love it. I think there's a ton of what you just said there that's super powerful. I want to make sure today, like for anyone who's watching, and also for you, Callie, like your journey and your accomplishments are not about, me, Katie, or RBB. Like you did the work, right? You drew that line in the sand and you said, like, I'm no longer going to tolerate like this survival mode lifestyle, and I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to invest the necessary time, energy, and resources it takes at whatever cost to make that happen, right? And I think it's super powerful how like there's two types of people, right? Like um especially during COVID, we got to see those types of people show up, right? And some of them are no longer in the industry, unfortunately. But there's a quote that I shared a lot during the COVID time period from Warren Buffett, which is be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy, right? When everyone else is kind of contracting or like, pulling back or, fearful or scared, like that's your best opportunity to really focus on going all in on yourself, all in on your business, all in on building relationships, which is the number one thing, key thing that I just pulled out of what you're saying is you didn't focus on just marketing or promoting or spamming, in your area. You focused on building real relationships. And unfortunately, sometimes there's going to be people when you do get yourself out there who are going to throw rocks at you. There's going to be the trolls in the comments. There's going to be people who are like, leave me alone. Like you can't let those people drag you down, right? Especially when and we can all see that here right now, like how much you actually care about helping people, right? People know how much, don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And as long as you show up every day, continuing to showcase like your unique personality and your unique ability to serve and help others, like I think that's the number one thing that's going to set you aside from everyone else, right? And definitely has for you. So I love it. So basically, you mentioned there you love the industry. I don't love the money that I'm making in the industry right now. I think a lot of people can relate to that. If you can, let us know in the comments. I love the industry. I'm super passionate about what I do, but I'm not making the money that I want right now. And I don't love the money that's coming back for my passion right now, right? I think a lot of people can relate to that. I can relate to that. I totally hear where you're coming from there. But you looked for an opportunity to figure out maybe there's something I'm missing here that could help me make this really work. I don't want to give up. I love what I do. I want this to work, right? And we were able to get connected during that time. You drew that line in the sand. You said, let's figure out a solution. Let's figure out what we can do to do this. You use COVID as an opportunity, it sounds like, during that downtime, instead of like sitting on the couch with Cheetos watching Netflix. Like, let's focus on, all that time that I said I didn't have before. Let's invest that into learning new skills and acquiring new knowledge and setting myself up for success because the doors are going to open eventually, right? And I would love to hear during that time period, what steps did you take, like from the moment you kind of first got started on the journey, and when did things really start clicking for you?
Well, I actually wasn't looking for clients in the salon. I really like my clients and I really don't want any more hair clients. So I wanted to take this opportunity to figure out how I can grow the spa part and the energy healing part. And a lot of the stories that were coming from RBB were people who were just starting out. So I felt like I was going to have to go through the amount of years that I took to build up the hair clients into the spa. I mean, I had a leg up because I had all my hair clients that I could talk to about the spa. So all my low hanging fruit is probably my biggest flow of income for the spa. But I did your Butts and Seats challenge and started reaching out to everybody, and I started getting people into the spa, which then made me have more more confidence in what I was doing when I started seeing how much of a difference it was making in people's lives. And I love making people beautiful, but boy, do I love making people feel better. So,
Your face just lit up when you mentioned that.
oh, I love it.
Could tell how much you care. I love it. So walk me through for those who have no idea what the heck this butts and seats challenge is. So I'm sure there's a lot of people watching right now who like have no idea what the heck this is all about. They're probably like, what is Real Beauty Boss? What is this thing that you're talking about here right now? Walk us through the steps that like you kind of took. You mentioned low hanging fruit. For
Mhm.
those that don't know, maybe you could mention what that is. You mentioned connecting and building relationships and reaching out to people in your community during this challenge. Walk us through the steps as if we know nothing.
Well, basically, I just used your formula. I went day by day. I would watch one of the modules and I would do exactly everything step by step that you said to do. And I felt like I didn't, if I could have done this on my own, I would have done it on my own. But this was a totally different way of looking at things. And it cost me the rest of my savings to do this because COVID wiped it out to begin with, right? So I'm like, no, I am not wasting 1 minute. So you always talked about doing imperfect action, right? Because I was a perfectionist, but I'm like, no, I don't have time for this. I need to do this in a timely manner. So every day I did the first module, I did what you said. Second day, I did the second module, I did what you said. So that was between the low hanging fruit and organics, which was me reaching out on Facebook. So it was doing the power activities like making posts in different groups that I got connected in that I resonated with, making conversations with these people. So it was a little bit better during COVID because so many people were lonely that they wanted to reach out. So I'd be sitting there at 10 o'clock at night on my phone, just chatting with some mom that was feeling lonely or whatever, right? And then she'd ask me what I was doing and what I did for business. Like it was just so organic. And I'm like, oh well, I do this, I have a spa, and I got so many people interested in it and so many people needed it. When I was first doing the healing, I did it for people who had traumas. And I realized after COVID, that was everyone. Absolutely every single person needed adrenal healing. Every single person needed this kind of healing that I used to just keep for people who were going through a really hard time, like people going through divorces, people going through deaths of a loved one. That's who I would only take on as clients. So after that, I could literally, in my heart, no, I'm not taking advantage of everyone. Every single person needs me. So it was handier.
I love that. Can you guys who are watching right now, can you feel like Kelly's passion that she's projecting right now? Like, I think that's one of the most overlooked variables for a lot of people who are looking to market and advertise and like grow and build their clientele is like what's really going to allow you to stand out amongst everyone else in your marketplace and like really be able to be the most successful with any marketing and advertising you do is not about the gimmick. It's not about the secret or the hack or the, whatever the heck you think it is, that magic button solution or the pixie fairy dust that, is going to magically be sprinkled on you and you get rich. Like it just doesn't work that way, right? What really is the most foundational and proven successful way to grow your business is to know for a fact like how passionate you are about what you do and how much you love and care about wanting to serve others, right? And ultimately making sure, I just noticed my video is locked there. Making sure that you project that in everything that you do, right? Through posts that you make, through conversations that you have, through reactivations and connections with your pre-existing client base or people who have reached out to you in the past. Just really leading with like almost like a how are you frame. How are you doing? How can I help kind of frame rather than like buy my stuff frame. Would you agree with that, Kelly?
Absolutely.
I
I'm not
think that's the, sorry, go ahead.
I'm not good with the buy my stuff. It just makes me feel like a fraud. I don't know why, but I don't like it.
The funny thing is though, like through doing what you've done, a lot of people are buying your stuff, right? Like you don't just stumble across and snap your fingers and make $13,000 a month, right? Like that doesn't just happen, right? The thing is like, you know, I think the most important is leading with care, leading with passion, leading with love for what you do, and leading with wanting to serve, not sell. Let's type that in the chat. Serve, not sell, because a lot of us are struggling maybe right now with our marketing and advertising because we are just trying to sell. And a lot of that is because we may be in a state, like you mentioned, Kelly, which is, I'm in survival mode. I need to sell. I need to get cash flow to feed and take care of my family, right? Like, I totally get that. You're not the only one if that's you. However, if you put your attention more on the service and wanting, instead of like, how do I sell something today, or how do I get, people on my books today? How can I go help as many people as possible today? That's how you're going to be the most successful in any interactions or engagements that you actually do, in my opinion. What would you say about that, Kelly?
I absolutely agree. And if you go with that approach, you're never going to feel like you're being a fraud. You're never going to feel like you're being like a salesman. And
Right. No one wants to feel like that, right? Like, we all, you know, complain about, like, I don't want to sound marketing sleazy or salesy, or I hate when people do that. Like, you don't have to do that to be successful. And Kelly's living proof of it, right? Like, you have the same beliefs as most people. I do not want to do that. I don't like that, right? But you're still able to be incredibly successful, still get a ton of people to buy your stuff, still able to build your dream clientele, be able to fill your books, be able to, hit your first 10,000 a month, do it consistently, and top out at your highest month to date, $13,000 a month, and build relationships with your clients that have set you up to, replace your income beyond the chair. You just talked about, like, today, you just got, a new client for what you've been working on next as well. Is that correct?
yeah.
And we'll talk about that as well. But let us know if this is resonating with you guys. If you haven't, let us know who you are, what you do, where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear it. I see a ton of people who just type serve, not sell. I can see all your comments. So me and Kelly will be looking at those. If you have any questions that you want us to answer today, let us know. But let us know if this is helpful for you. So let's kind of get into, because this is one big thing I want to talk about. You mentioned you went through the activation butts and seats challenge, and you started making some posts in your area. Maybe we can talk about the details around that. You started activating what we call low-hanging fruit, which is pre-existing connections that you've had, maybe previous inquirers or clients who came to see you but haven't come back, or not currently on the books. And the key thing that I was hearing is really just focusing on those power activities or revenue generating activities, which are starting conversations and translating those conversations into booked appointments. Is that accurate?
Right.
So walk us through, like, what was the day in the life for you, like, during this first initial ramp up phase, I guess, for what were you doing? How did it kind of work and look specifically, like the steps? And how long did it take for you to maybe start getting those initial results of clients being booked and getting that initial traction?
I think my biggest thing was I made up a schedule for myself. You have a document that's called Your Perfect Day. And you probably know this about me. I'm very competitive. So when I make a schedule, I stick to it. And as soon as I posted in the group that I'm going to be consistent, and I feel like everyone holds you responsible, so I don't want to disappoint anybody. So I made up a schedule and I stuck with it. Then the other thing was making sure about my time management. Coming out of COVID, I spent a lot of had time on my screens and just mindlessly doing nothing. So I started being mindful of that and tracking how much time I was spending on things, and you have a strong realization of what a waste of time.
Right.
You're wasting so much time, and I could spend that. I'm on my phone anyways. I might as well make connections. So I used a lot of just let's get connected posts from your guys' vault, or from somebody who had put an idea on the Facebook group. I would just steal it, make it my own, and it was awesome. Pretty soon, like in the beginning, I only used what was from your guys' vault. But after you do a few, you realize, oh, I can come up with a few of these myself that really pertains to what I'm doing. I was in
Yeah.
this Costco group. So just even not even a let's get connected. I just said something about their premier protein. Am I the only one who uses the premier protein in your coffee? And it's just like a like a protein drink. And I
Hmm.
got so many comments. And so I just started trying to friend people. The ones that did, I reached out, said, oh, how, what else do you do with it? Everyone was giving ideas. And it was a really easy way to organically just chat to people, not about hair. Soon
Right.
enough, they're going to ask you what you do. And then you don't feel
Yes.
salesy.
And that's kind of networking and relationship 101, right? Start by breaking the ice and just getting to know people. And like how I always imagine it is like imagine like a coffee shop conversation. Everyone type that in the chat, coffee shop down below in the chat. If you bumped into someone at the coffee shop, whether you know them or you don't, like what would that conversation kind of look like? Would you like immediately just say like, hey, would you like to book an appointment with me? I have 50% off and it's only $100, right? Like, no, you wouldn't do that, right? I would stiff arm you in the face and say, like, leave me alone if you did that, right? You'd say like, hey, like, how's it going? Like, what brought you in today? Like, how are you? What part of town do you located? Like, nice to connect. Like, good morning, right? Like, just a normal coffee shop conversation. And then naturally, as Kelly just said, like when you start those conversations, that will naturally, if you're asking questions to others, the law of reciprocity will come into play, and they'll start to ask questions to you. And eventually, it's almost guaranteed that some question will come up that will lead you to introduce what you actually do, how you can help them, and then from there, if it makes sense, not sure if it does, would love to maybe invite you in for a consultation sometime. Maybe we could, chat more, take a look at your hair, take a look at your skin, see if there's anything we can do to help. Is that something you're open to? Cool. I've got this time or this time. What works best for you, right? See how quick it can transition, right? From just hello to now we're talking about booking the appointment. If you lead with the lather, that's where failure comes, right? Because no one just out of the blue, very few people at least, if you just stood up on a table and said, hey, who wants to book an appointment with me? No one's going to really care, right? People want people who actually care about them, right? People are more interested in talking about themselves than they are talking about you, right? And so starting those conversations, I think, is definitely the key factor that I heard there from what you just mentioned. Now, there's a couple resources that you just referred to that hope Kelly doesn't or Katie doesn't get upset with me at this, but for anyone who's here attending live, if you guys would like to get access to all of the resources that Kelly is referring to, I'd be more than happy to share that with everyone. And Kelly, if you're open to it, maybe we could talk about, if you have your own, you mentioned like your own perfect day schedule and kind of your routine. Maybe we can put something together that's like when you're at your peak or when you're focusing on your growth phase, like what that process looks like. Is that something you'd be open to sharing with everyone?
Sure. I just wish I had it right in front of me. But
We can do it after the interview. We can make sure
okay.
everyone gets it. So if you guys want to get access to the bonuses and tools and stuff that we're referring to, and we have some more stuff for you as well, just go ahead and type hashtag Kelly down below in the chat, and we'll put you on the list to get access to those. So a couple things you mentioned was the perfect day routine, setting up a daily consistent schedule that you stuck with and you were super disciplined and consistent with. For those that didn't know, Kelly also got our award for being the most consistent in the community. What's the title of the award again, Katie or Kelly? We mentioned it this
It
morning. I
was
totally forgot.
consistency queen.
Oh yeah, the consistency queen. Everyone type consistency queen down below in the chat. Kelly literally got an award for being one of the most consistent and disciplined members in our community. We have thousands of people we serve, hundreds of people who have achieved the 10, 25, 50, $100,000 per month awards. I've not seen someone to date be more consistent than she has with following those daily actions and activities that are the revenue generating activities that actually helped her build the business. Would you mind sharing with us, Kelly? Just like we can put this into an actual resource and share it with everyone who types hashtag Kelly. But walk me through, what did your perfect day and kind of your daily schedule look like when you were at your peak of most clients, most cash flow coming in. This is working. What did that look like for you?
Well, had to get onto a better routine of my sleep schedule for sure. So, especially after COVID, sleep till noon, it didn't really matter, right? So I just set up a schedule. I was up at 6:30 every day and I worked out, whether it was going to the gym or just working out at home. I made sure I moved my body, worked out. Then I would get ready for work. And I made a schedule so that I would work like 4 hours ish, then have a break to make sure that I could do a little bit of my organics or low hanging fruit. So I had actually time to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would do clients again. And at the end of the day, I'd kind of clean up, close up my computer and stuff, put in my numbers or make sure I know my numbers to see where I'm at. And then finish up with getting back to anybody who had Facebooked me or Instagram me. I was worried about getting back to them quickly, and I just couldn't. I had to book in just this time, and if it took 4 hours to get back to them, no one cared. Like they
Mm-hmm.
didn't say, "Oh, you were ignoring me." It's a work day. People know people work.
Right.
So I would
So
just,
walk me through what I think the most important piece was consistent wake up time, consistent bedtime. Right. So when I call those the anchors, right? What what was the average time you woke up every day, time you tried to go to bed each day? Or what does that look like for you
well,
now?
I would hit the bed at 10 o'clock, work in my journal,
Okay.
just make sure I have everything written down I needed to remember for the next day so I wasn't up thinking all night. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would be asleep probably by 10:30,
Love it. And what's your wake up time?
6:30.
Sounds very familiar to the perfect day document. That's exactly the same time I have as well.
No, well, because you guys created this, I just followed along. It was like a plug and play. It's not like I had to come up with any of this. What I was doing wasn't working. What you guys were doing was working. So I literally just copied it. So you're asking me these questions. I'm like, whatever you created, Jordan, that's what I did. Because I had no
Well,
idea.
you applied it your own way, which I think is the most important, right? Like everyone's life is not copy and paste. It never should be, right? Like you want to make sure you apply anything that you're learning your own way that's uniquely customized and tailored to your goals. But one thing that we do always say is like, if you want to achieve success, it's a quote from Tony Robbins, all you have to do is model what works from those who have already succeeded, right? Another quote from Napoleon Hill is like, if you want to be a millionaire, find a millionaire, copy what they're doing, and you'll have similar or same results as long as you stay consistent and apply similar actions, right? So I love that you mentioned that. Now I do think you need to give yourself some more credit though, Callie. Like,
Well, I
it's
did
one
the
thing
work.
to follow a process. It's another thing to be consistent and discipline with doing it every day when you have all the other responsibilities and problems you have in your life, right? You have 3 kids, two
Hmm.
kids, three
Great.
kids.
Yeah.
That's right. um so and you're no longer single mom. You were,
Yeah.
but
I
no
just
longer
I just
anymore.
got married in July.
Awesome. Everyone give Kelly a congratulations. Married, newly married in July.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Got 3 kids at home. So you've been also, while building this business and growing this clientele, marketing and advertising for your services, also able to have that balance, through sticking to your schedule as well. Is that something you would be open to chatting about? A lot of people, always are focused on work-life balance, 100% important. How have you been able to achieve that?
Oh, it it really helped with bringing my business home, to tell you the truth. And not everyone has that opportunity. But in between clients, you always have those 10 minutes. So I was able to get things done in my home, like go run the dishwasher, throw in a load of laundry. And so when the kids were home from school and I had time with them, it was literally time with them. I could help them with everything, except for I worked late a couple nights a week and they understood. Like then that gave them time to be more independent. And I was okay with that. Normally I wouldn't have been okay with that if I was doing it all the time, but it was only 2 nights a week, gave them their independence. So I felt like that was balance. And yeah, just finding the time that is probably the hardest time because you want to spend all your time with them. You're really only working so that you can pay to raise them, right? So I enjoy my work, but I prefer to be around my kids. And
100%.
having having the time to do both was really life changing. I loved it.
I love that. I see uh, how emotional you get talking about your kids too. I think that's amazing. And I think it's also awesome too, like to hear how you're sharing this because I see so many people who have, similar challenges with work-life balance and they have kids at home, they have, a spouse, they have all these other responsibilities, but sometimes I've noticed they've used that as an excuse as to why they can't do something rather than fuel for why they have to do it and why they must do it. And what you just said is like, you know, I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for them, right? And I think that's super important, right? Because um, you're the example at the end of the day that your kids look up to, right? And if they see you winning, they see you providing for your family, they see you, achieving your dreams and goals, what's that going to do for them?
I
It's going to
agree.
inspire them, motivate them to do the same, right? So, how many guys who are here watching right now have kids at home? Let us know how many kids you got. If you want to drop their names, let us know too. Do you mind sharing your kiddos' names, Kelly?
I have a daughter named Parker and twin boys named Emmett and Cole.
Love it. And how old are they?
Parker is now 27 and the boys just had their birthday, so they're 19. They're still at the 19-year-olds are still at home, but it was a big transition. My daughter finally leaving. I had made a little condo, whatever, little in suite in my basement for her because she's special needs. And
Hmm.
I didn't know if she would ever be able to leave me, but we've gotten her on a great run in life, and she's on her own in her own little apartment and doing great.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing that. We got a ton of people in the comments sharing about their kiddos as well. Kelly and I will make sure after the stream today, we'll engage and interact with you guys who are commenting. I appreciate you guys doing that. Um, so biggest takeaways, because I do want to make sure we cover our Q&A and make sure if anyone has any questions that you have for Kelly or myself or any goals that you're looking to achieve right now in your life or in your business, drop that down below in the comments because for the final 5 to 10 minutes of our interview here today, we are going to be diving deep into answering your questions and helping support you with your goals. Plus, if you guys type hashtag Kelly down below in the comments, we'll have some resources and tools and bonuses that we've just kind of talked about that I'm more than open to sharing with anyone who attends with us live here. And on top of that, Kelly, if you're open to this, we could maybe even discuss doing like a behind the scenes masterclass or something together, maybe documenting and sharing more like actual like pictures and like a playbook of like what posts you did, the messages that you sent, like, what your step-by-step process looks like as well. Is that something you'd be open to chatting more about?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Awesome. So if you guys would love to get an invitation to that behind the scenes class, type just hashtag Kelly down below. And if you're really interested in the masterclass, you can comment masterclass down below. We'll make sure to get you on that list. I think everyone being able to see like a playbook of or screenshots or behind the scenes of kind of like what you've been able to do, I think will be a super big help for a lot of people. So as we start to transition into Q&A, if you have questions, drop them down below. The things I wanted to make sure we cover, the bullets for today, the exact marketing and advertising strategy that you use to grow your following, build your clientele, and fill your books with your dream clients. I know we just talked a little bit about it, how would you define for someone like who may be watching right now, like what would you recommend them to do step by step in the simplest way possible to start marketing and advertising successfully, start building their clientele with their dream client successfully if they had to start today?
I would say to start with the butts and seats challenge. Give it a try. You're going to be successful. If you do it, you're going to be successful. If every single time I got one client in, I'm like, that's one more than I have. I mean, I was stalemate forever. I had the same clients over and over and over, and it was lovely. I had a great relationship with them. But every time there was a new person, that's so exciting.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know what their hair looks like. It's a challenge. I love that.
I love it. So butts and seats challenge. If you guys want to get access to that, type butts and seats challenge down below. We can see what we can do to pair you up with that resource. Um, Love to hear it. What part of the butts and seats challenge, for those that don't know what it is, what if you had to recommend like do this action, what would that be? Or a series of actions?
I would say start the conversations with people in Facebook groups. Just be their friend. Like just actually enjoy the conversation you're having. Find somebody on one of these groups. People are always talking and interacting. You're gonna feel at home with one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just start chatting. See if they some people I asked if I could friend them. Some people, as we were talking, I just added them as a friend and they would connect with it. And as soon as you have them as a friend, that opens up a whole new world. You have
Love
them,
it.
you have their friends, you have like it's so big out there.
Yeah. So for those that aren't like familiar with what Kelly's referring to, she's basically this has been one of the foundational things for helping her grow her clientele. Just joining local Facebook groups and communities in your area, and instead of trying to like sell and pitch your crap like we talked about, going in there and to like connect, right? Like posting engagement questions or providing value or providing recommendations or just focusing on give rather than take is definitely what I'm understanding you're referring to, correct, Kelly?
Absolutely.
And then from there, start engaging in real conversations, with maybe people who comment on your posts or people that you vibe with or connect with. And then, introduce yourself. Say, hey, saw you comment on my post. Just want to personally reach out and say hi. Like, where are you located? What do you do for work here in the area? Right. Just get that conversation started, coffee shop combo style, and then go from there. We do have scripts available, for all of this stuff. If you type hashtag Kelly, we can make sure we pair you up with the resources that you need. What is I'm sure this is a big question for a lot of people. What does that like initial conversation look like for you? Like if you had to share with everyone.
Well, I remember putting a post of let's get connected. Where are you from? What side or what side of the city are you on? And what do you do for a living? And so people were just posting, I can't remember what group, I think like women in business or something. And so when they would leave a comment, I would comment on, oh, I know someone who lives over there, or oh, that's a great area, whatever, like a authentic, whatever it was that I was commenting on them. And then I would become their friend. And then the first thing I would do is actually send the script that you had because I couldn't write anything better. It worked. So I would just plug in their names and send the script about, oh, I'm just reaching out. I saw that you had commented on my post, and I just like to get to know you better. I love making connections.
Love it.
And they would say a few things, and I would just, it was literally just like three or four questions back and forth before one of them would ask me, well, what do you do? Since I asked them what were they doing for a living. And then I would say I was salon and spa. They're like, oh, I've been looking for a new hairstylist. I'm like, well, and I was heading more to the spa stuff, but I would talk to them about their hair a bit. And then pretty soon I would just
Love
say, oh, it's so nice talking to you. If you ever want to make a consultation and come in and see the place, see if we're a good fit. And I can always get you in. It's complimentary, consultation. And they usually said, yeah, that would be awesome. So then it's just about getting them nailed down to an actual time.
I love it. That was like a direct play-by-play, guys. So if you're gonna want to catch the replay of this, if you do type hashtag replay, she just walked you through exactly like what her strategy is and was and is still to this day. You're still doing similar and same things. What was the most number of clients you booked in a week, you think, from the strategy you just mentioned?
I think I did 10.
10 in a week.
Yeah, 10
Guys, if you
consultations. Yeah.
I want everyone to kind of do the math. Think about how much, for one client is worth to you. The clients who pay, stay, refer, come back again and again and again, consistently and predictably, how that compounds over time. If you were able to get 10 clients a week, there's 52 weeks in a year. That's 520 clients by the end of the year, right? Like, do the math. Like, not even just on the initial transaction, but the repeat visits, maybe incorporate product, retail, referrals, upsells, cross sells, packages, memberships. Like, that's how you blow up your business virtually overnight. It's exactly the same stuff that Kelly's been able to do to get her to her level of success in her business as well. So if you guys want to get access to those scripts and whatnot, that's something we can cover on the behind the scenes masterclass on exactly maybe like a screen capture of like screenshot of like what that opening message looks like and how those conversations go. We could definitely dive into that more if you guys type hashtag Kelly. Kelly, you still got like a couple minutes for Q&A? I know we're going a little bit over on time. You good?
Yeah, I'm
All
good.
right, cool. Is this valuable for everyone in the comments? If it is, smash a ton of hearts on the live stream for Kelly for taking the time out of her busy schedule here today to chat with you guys and share as much value with you as she can. She's run a multi, six-figure business and has plenty of other responsibilities with her family and kids, but want to take the time out to help you guys. So give her a big thank you as we transition to helping solve some of your questions and problems. Now, I've got a Q&A doc that Katie actually prepared for us from some of the questions that everyone asked. Before I answer the first question, do you want to kind of share, because I want to make sure we cover this bullet. I would love for you to share with everyone what your plan is to get out from behind the chair and how you plan on replacing your income beyond the chair as well. Would you mind sharing what kind of your current journey and transition looks like for the next Kelly 2.0, if you will?
Oh, I would love to. I'm very excited about it. I did notice I finally, I did organics and low-hanging fruit for probably a year and a half. And then we started to do actually paid ads. And I got such a huge influx of people that month that I only actually ran it 1 month because then it got to having too many. I didn't, as a solo art, yeah, it just took a lot to do it. But I did notice that a lot of these people for the spa part were coming in once, loving the treatment, and then not being able to come back for either money or time or whatever the reasons were. And it actually broke my heart because there were so many of them that I saw the change in just one treatment. And if only they could just realize how important it was to take care of themselves. So I created a workbook. The first one is on self-love, so that people would understand that they really do need to, they're allowed to take care of themselves. It doesn't have to be, after everyone else is taken care of. And then I'm working on more of a self-healing one. And so I'm excited to start working with people one-on-one with that. So I have 2 clients so far that I got my workbook to, and I'm having one-on-one sessions with them. So it's been great. I did my very first session 2 days ago. So it
I
was
love
awesome.
it. For those that like don't understand what Kelly just said, what Kelly's been able to do through building such a successful full book of her clients, her dream clients, is identify what their challenges and problems kind of are aside and beyond the chair. Everyone type beyond the chair down below in the chat. I encourage everyone who's watching this right now to start thinking bigger, start zooming out and thinking about all the opportunities that are possible for you with the right knowledge, with the right education, with the right passion and love for what you do and for your clients. What Kelly's been able to do is identify, additional challenges that her clients, maybe have beyond the chair that they're struggling with at home or that they're, sharing with her when, they're seeing you for that appointment. Mm-hmm. And you're now working on more of, I would say, like a self-care, almost like coaching style interaction with them that helps hold them accountable to their self-care, helps them really identify what areas of their life they're struggling with that you can maybe help, guide them on, that you've solved for yourself. And it's a way that you're planning your next future kind of retirement plan so that, you're able to continue to replace your income, maybe even grow the income beyond there, which is something we're working on together, and build, what I would believe true time and financial freedom for yourself by showcasing your knowledge and expertise and your passion for what you do, and being able to package and provide that without having to take services behind the chair. Is that accurate?
It is. And it would just fill my heart and soul to be able to help more people, because if these people only come in once, we help them short term, but I want to be able to do
Mm.
something that would maybe have a longer effect.
I love that. How many guys like that's like your real dream? I've heard so many conversations I've had that, you know, I want to grow my business. I want to get more clients. I want to figure out this social media thing and, build my brand, grow my following and build my business. But really, if I look a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like I would love to find a way that I could achieve true time and financial freedom, being able to work from anywhere in the world, remotely, almost laptop lifestyle, if you will, and be able to provide value to people aside from just having to trade, my time for money, having to trade my body for in exchange for the transaction with the clients. Like that's a thing that I think a lot of people don't have a plan for aside from building their business is what's the exit plan? What's the real freedom plan? What happens when your body starts to wear down, when you can't, take the same amount of clients that you used to, when maybe you just don't have the same motivation, drive, and passion that you did 10, 20. In your case, you've been in the industry for 35 years, right? How can I figure out my next move from there? And you've been able to get an awesome foundation for a plan. You already have some clients for this new, um, um, I guess it's a new business model that you're creating for yourself. And it's something we're working on together. I'm super excited for you. I think it's amazing. I think it's going to be a huge motivation and inspiration to people who are watching this, whether it be now or on the replay, for getting them to think bigger too. So everyone type think bigger down below in the comments. Any words of wisdom or encouragement, things that you would maybe share, Kelly, on that note?
One thing you're teaching me, Jordan, is to dream bigger. I always tell you that. I'm like, I didn't dream big enough. You're helping me dream bigger. I love that.
I love it. Well, let's answer these questions and then we can talk all about more of this on the upcoming masterclass that we'll put in case as well. Make sure everyone comments hashtag Kelly, throw some hearts. Let's answer some questions. If you guys have questions that you want answered right now, now is the time to do so. We are 5 minutes. We'll do some rapid fire. That cool with you, Kelly? I know we're
Yep,
going over on time. I said we wouldn't, but
sounds great.
you know me, I get carried away sometimes. So first question is from Ashley. How can I better market myself outside of social media?
I'm not sure with that one, Jordan. I do everything social media wise.
I know if Ashley, you're on here, I'd love to hear if you have some expansion on that. How I would recommend, so here's how I would look at social media. Think back, 10, 20, 30 years ago, in Kelly's case, 35 years ago, before social media was as big as it is now. The only way you could connect with people, build relationships, and like do business in your location or your area, like you had to go out and meet people. You had to build real connections, join like events in your area, hand out flyers, business cards. Some of you guys have done the grassroots, the old ways of doing things prior. Social media, I would look at just being it's just a new medium, a new media. That's what media is. It's like a passing through of which something is done, in which we should be able to have the same social interactions and the same types of connections and relationships. So when you're using social media, as Kelly referred to, I would use it the same way with that same type of style where you're building relationships, starting conversations, connecting in your area and translating that into direct conversations and then appointments. But if you do want to market outside of social media, I would also like the first thing I would do, I would go to Facebook events, meetup.com, even Google search in your area, Eventbrite or whatnot, and just find events in your area where people are gathering. Then, like, rule of thumb for marketing and advertising your business, this goes for anything. Kelly, we'll talk about this too, because I think with your new opportunity, it's going to help you out big time too. You want to ask yourself, who is my ideal client? Where are they hanging out? Everyone type that in the chat. Who and where? Who, where? And if you keep that as your focus and you continue to find where your ideal clients are hanging out and then start engaging in conversations, asking questions, talking about their problems, translating conversations into appointments, that's like the rule of thumb for getting any amount of business or clientele or marketing yourself outside of social media, which is your question. So let me know if that makes sense. Meetup.com is literally how Katie and I built our entire business. We used to be dead broke, $60,000 in debt, could barely afford to pay our bills and afford to buy groceries. We lived off ramen noodles and Burger King chicken nuggets, which were $5 for 20 of them at the time. We were dead broke. And the way we got ourselves out of that situation is, and this was help from a mentor that we talked to along our journey, went to meetup.com, found 5 to 10 plus events in our area and went to every single one. We didn't even overthink it. We just went to every single one that we could and just started there because we had moved to a brand new area. We had to start from scratch. We didn't know anybody. We needed to make some connections. And so that's what we did. And we committed to showing up to at least one new event or a recurring event every single week, if not every single day. And that completely transformed everything for us. Over time, we eventually got connected with the movers and shakers in our market. And we blew up. That was the foundation for building RBB, which has now done over 10 million in revenue. And it started out just talking to people in the area. So hopefully that answers your question, Ashley. Anything you have to add to that, Kelly?
No, that sounds great. The only other thing, like all we ever did was just do networking groups before social media. I can remember going to,
Right.
Chamber of Commerce, but if there's another hairstylist there, it was like trying to get in was hard, right? This way on social media, it's not as hard. You can be wherever you want to be.
Right. Yeah, I would just try not to overthink it. Like, just find out who your ideal clients are, where are they hanging out, go and get connected with them. Don't be hanging out in your salon all day or in your room all day, like isolated. You can't be isolated if you want to build a successful business. You gotta get out there. Don't use being an introvert as an excuse either. Believe it or not, Katie and I are both huge introverts. If you met us in person, we're not as the same people online as sometimes we are in person. But we know that that's how we build relationships. And so we have acquired the skill to be able to turn on our extroversion when we need to and gotten much better at it along the way. If you guys saw like some old videos that we did or what we kind of looked or talked like back then, your jaw would be on the floor, I promise you. So get out there and connect would be my answer to that, Ashley. The next question from Ashley, she had a part 2 question here. How should I recommend to some clients that I would like to see them next month? I'm shy, which is something I'm working on. So how could I recommend clients to come back to see me? Is that what you're asking, Ashley? Like reactivation almost? Kelly, anything you'd share on that topic?
Well, I think it's important before they even leave your salon to see if they can rebook. I think you just put a sense of urgency. Like I would text them and say, "Oh, I noticed that it's time for you to get in again. My books they're getting really filled, so I wanted to make sure that I reached out to you and see if you want some of the last. I only have a couple more appointments left." That's what I would do. Or I just had a cancellation. I can't believe I have a cancellation at this time. It's one of my best slots, whatever. Who needs us?
Yep. I think the key, and I can see this because you mentioned, I'm shy. It's something I'm working on. Ashley, I think all of us are shy in some way, right? Or any of us have been shy at some point in our lives. Like we didn't just come out of the womb like, this extroverted, spontaneous social butterfly. I think the only way you acquire that skill is to just like really challenge yourself each day to do uncomfortable, challenging things, even if it like is super painful at first. And I would just start reaching out, like in the way that you feel would be the best way to reach out. You can take the recommendations and advice Kelly just shared and what we would recommend. But if you just get started, you're going to learn a lot faster than like trying to come up with the perfect plan, right? Um, there's like a quote that's like, it's a little aggressive, but like losers are creating the perfect plan while the winners have already like taken action imperfectly and figured it out. I don't know the exact quote, but like don't overthink yourself into the reach out, just reach out. It would be my recommendation. All right. Annette said, what exact strategies that you use to grow your Facebook and Instagram following? How did you monetize? What strategies do you use to turn conversations into clients? You kind of mentioned that. Anything that you want to add to that?
Well, I have to add that I don't have a big following on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not even anywhere close being an influencer. I have a
Yeah.
tiny little Facebook group that I started last year, and I'm excited to say I have 180 people on it. So I'm not by any means growing it. That hasn't really helped me. Probably doing the reaching out is what grew my business.
I love that. One thing we always say, followers do not equal dollars. Everyone drop that in the comments. Followers do not equal dollars. I know tons of people in the industry. I actually connected with a lot of like Modern Salon top 100 people, like big people with 50,000, 100,000, some 500,000, some millions of followers who are actually making, believe it or not, less money than Kelly is making. And that just goes to show that like the following does not matter if you don't know how to build relationships, convert those relationships into actual like customers and clients and create that value exchange. So I love the transparency and the vulnerability there too, Kelly. Like I don't have a big following. It's not something that's helped me. It's not something I prioritize. Like I've just focused on building relationships, right? And we talked about for the second part of that question, Annette, strategies to turn conversations into clients. We just talked about her script, and we can cover more in the behind the scenes masterclass as well. Final question, and then I'll let you go, Callie, because we have another call coming up here soon. But Christina said, I would love to know some things that she did consistently that maybe fit in a shorter amount of time each day. So this is probably a good one for everybody. Let's say I have like a very minuscule amount of time in the day. What are things I can do consistently in those gaps or blocks in the day to get the highest results?
Well, this is what I noticed. In the beginning, it did take me a little bit longer, only because I was overthinking things. Throwing a post on Facebook literally takes 30 seconds. And then instead of taking my lunch break, that's when I would take, I would section off that little bit of time to eat lunch and go through my phone and just quickly just comment on the people's who commented on my post. It really doesn't take any time. I didn't find that part actually taking much time at all. My biggest thing was trying to decide what I was going to post. You guys have lots of examples. My thing was more me being scared. Oh no, what will people think? Oh, does this sound salesy? I don't know. And I don't think that way anymore. You just make a post. Whatever's on the top of your head, you just make a post and see if anyone resonates. Some will hit, and you'll have lots of people getting back to you, and some won't. It's a numbers game, but also some of the ones where I only had maybe 10 comments, I was able to turn some into clients anyways, because it just depends on who you resonate with. I think you're muted, Jordan.
Sorry. I just noticed I was unmuted or muted. I think that's huge. Like you, me, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, like the richest people in the world, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? It's how we choose to use those hours that determines our results, right? And so what we always say is it's not about adding time to your plate. It's about moving the time that you already have and also finding those gaps that you have in your daily schedule to just take more action on the revenue generating activities that we've referred to today which could be making posts, commenting on other people's posts, starting conversations, reactivating clients. But at the end of the day, trying to start conversations and convert those conversations into appointments. It's not about adding time. And most of the time, in the same amount of time that just, I don't mean this in the wrong way, but the person who asked this question, the same amount of time it took you to ask the question is the same amount of time it takes to go and make that post, go and start that conversation, go and reactivate that client, go and call that client that you know you need to call, right? And so I think I found the quote I was referring to, Kelly. I want to share this with everyone real quick as we kind of turn to a close here today. This is something I would take a screenshot of for all of you guys. Can you see it on my screen, Kelly? And can everyone else see this? Winners take imperfect action while losers are still perfecting the plan. It's a quote from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has probably made some of the most impact, like at a scale almost unimaginable and unfathomable to most people. Like he has served and helped billions of people and generated billions of dollars in return for providing that amount of value to people. I think he'd be doing something right. And I think it's a good idea to model what works and follow his advice, you know? So this is huge. I would screenshot this. If you want to drop the quote in the comments as well, so you remember it. Winners take imperfect action while losers are still perfecting the plan. I think from what I'm hearing from this entire interview here today, Kelly, I think that's something you've done better than most people I've seen over the past 5 years. And I think giving yourself some credit for the amount of imperfect action you've taken is super important. Like you have done so many amazing things and you're inspiring people right now. You've inspired people already for your success and your transformation. Like 35 years in the industry, going out and taking the leap of faith on your own, being an amazing mom and spouse at home, and then also building a multi-six-figure business is pretty badass. So I think it's amazing to see what you've accomplished. And I'm so excited for the next phase of your journey. And I appreciate you taking the time out here today. Everyone give Kelly a ton of hearts down below in the comments. Again, give her a big thank you. And type hashtag Kelly down below if you want to get access to our behind the scenes masterclass we're going to put together for you guys going deeper on all this. But before we hop off, Kelly, any final notes, words of encouragement, inspiration that you maybe want to share with everyone who may be watching, who's looking for, you know, that next step for them?
Well, I think that people have to realize I didn't grow up with any technology. So I was the worst one at saying, Jordan, I don't know how to do this. I can't do technology. And I was able to do it. It took me a little bit longer. It's not anymore because I got used to it. But in the beginning, it did take me longer than some of the younger people coming in. But you just have to do it and it will come. It's easier than you think it could be.
I love it. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being here, sharing all of your journey, your story, everything you shared here today. I can't wait to do more stuff here in the future. And guys, if you want to reach out to Kelly or in the comments, I'm sure, would that be okay? Like maybe someone wanted to reach out to you personally. Maybe
Absolutely.
You could, yeah. Never hesitate to reach out to either me or Kelly for support. We really want you guys to have your best year ever this year and achieve those goals that you've been aiming for. And we hope that today, you know, through talking to Kelly and her sharing her story helps inspire you as well. So if it did, we'd love for you guys to share in the Facebook group after we hop off. Maybe what's your number one takeaway from today? Or if you haven't introduced yourself into the group, we'd love to hear who you are, what you do, where you're tuning in from, what services you offer, but also what's your number one goal that we can help you achieve so we can best support you. So Kelly, thanks so much for being here today. I look forward to chatting with you soon. Thank you everyone who watched here today. We'll reach out to you guys about the bonuses after the fact, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.